Hey everyone, welcome to the Camino Cafe. I am happy that you are here watching or listening to this interview tonight, and I'm coming to you live from Santiago de Compostela, and I'm having a ball living here. It is, the energy is amazing, and every single day as I'm out and about in the town, I'm seeing pilgrims come in, and every day there's more and more. So as part of my work here with the podcast, I'm going to be doing Cafe con Leche, and I don't know what I'm going to call the evening one, but celebratory get-togethers with pilgrims as you're coming into town. So if you're planning on walking soon, let me know, because I would love to meet you and help you celebrate and maybe do some processing of what you've just experienced, as well as maybe feature you on my pages, or maybe you might want to do a podcast. We'll see. So anyway, I hope to meet you. And I know lots of people in our community are getting ready to come. I think I put a post out there and about 25 or 30 people responded, yes, I'm coming within the next 3 months. So super happy about that. I'm doing a couple of live interviews tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday. So get ready. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming your way. And tonight, I'm very excited to have with me the Recovery Camino. And we talked last week, and so I'm going to introduce our guests. So we have Bob Shea and Mark Lane Hulbert, and hopefully I got the names correct. Couldn't look at my notes there real quickly. And I am thrilled to have both of them here with me this evening. So just wanted to say thank you, first of all, and then I'm going to read your bios because they're quite impressive. So thanks for coming back to the Camino Cafe, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. First, I'm going to read Mark's bio. So Mark is a trained logotherapist, a spiritual psychology of finding purpose and meaning, which was founded by Dr. Viktor Frankl, and an APA Division of Addiction Psychology member. A former Franciscan, he practices meditation and two-way prayer and believes in walk-run therapy. He runs the website, The Running Anthropologist. And I just love that bio, Mark, because one, I'm a huge fan of Viktor Frankl, so I'm always very interested in his psychology, but also the walk-run therapy. So I would love to talk about that a little bit as we get into our interview today, but I also want to introduce Bob, though, before we do that. So Bob Shea brings music therapy into dementia communities and holds a bachelorate degree in nursing. Having been through a big book step study process, Bob brings hope into rehab and detox centers through the principles of recovery. And you got to check out his YouTube page, Elder Care Entertainment. I've been watching the videos and I love them. They are just wonderful. And I told Bob that my grandma actually is suffering from that. And so I think any kind of therapeutic work that we can do to help that community is awesome. So anyway, I got two great quality pilgrims with me tonight. So let's start off, Mark. You know, this whole walk-run therapy, in my humble opinion, I don't have a professional opinion on this, just my opinion as a pilgrim, but I feel like, you know, there's really something to walking and therapy at the same time. I find it very therapeutic. So I know you're getting your doctorate and you probably have a much more official opinion about what the science is behind that. I am a yoga teacher and I've studied meditation quite intensely, but I've never experienced anything quite so powerful as the combination of pilgrimage with walking and the therapeutic elements of it. So I wonder if we could start there and just kind of hear, you know, what your take is on that and why it is so helpful for folks.
Sure. Thank you again so much for having us, Lee. Yeah, I would just in a nutshell say that you are correct that movement in and of itself is therapeutic. The body, mind, spirit connection, and our you know, from an anthropological perspective, we were made to move. We were made to, you know, to walk long distances and to run intermittently, just to be moving as a species. And so there's something really ancient in our brains that connect with the land and with people around us spiritually as we get moving. So there was this idea in it's been around for a while, but really modern walking and running therapy was the joy of running. Thaddeus Kostrumbala was a medical doctor and a psychologist. And he really started developing this, and then eventually connected this movement therapy to running and to doing therapy with his clients and group therapy. And now it's really spread across the world. There's an international association of therapists that practice while running or walking with groups, and have groups doing that as recovery from, for example, there's a great group out of Canada that does this work with teens and young adults suffering from suicidality, depression, anxiety, and it's been tremendously successful clinically. There's been clinical studies done, as well as in many cases, like you said, many personal stories that you hear anecdotally, how beneficial pilgrimage is. And what makes pilgrimage different, of course, is that we're walking with that spiritual intention and walking with others who have a spiritual intention as well. So that's part of Recovery Camino.
Yeah, exactly. I had a friend once who is a therapist, and she said something like walking a Camino is like equal to 10 years of couch therapy. You know, I don't know how scientific that opinion is, but you know, it certainly felt that way for me, you know, having gone through therapy and then walking a pilgrimage was you know, very helpful and really helped me process a lot of stuff, I think, a little bit quicker. You know, not everything fully, right? Because we're always working on stuff. But yeah, okay, great. Well, we'll probably dive into that a little bit more. But thank you for sharing that. And I wanted to switch over just for a moment with you, Bob. You know, and I'm just wondering, you know, with your nursing background and your music background, do you find that there's a connection there too, also with the Camino, maybe the sounds of nature, or maybe certain songs, or you know, I don't know. Do you bring music into your Caminos when you walk personally?
Yeah, actually, it's kind of interesting because on the audio level, I listen to Baroque music.
Ah, okay.
And what it does is it transcends my brain into that time frame. So I'm walking with that kind of thought as well. This year, as you said, with the videos, I will be they talked me into bringing my guitar this time. I didn't want to do it, but so I have these.
I bet they had to talk really hard, huh?
Right, exactly. Well, you know, for minimalist, bringing a guitar is like, you know, it just goes against. But, and I agreed only because I have this video series called On the Road with Nurse Bob. And they are videos that people can look at in the, you know, Alzheimer communities. And it's like, for instance, up in Massachusetts, I'll go and I did a video up there and I talked about the great rivers, the great ball teams, and a little bit of the history. And so in Maine and New Hampshire, and I did that all the way back down to Florida. But this one, it'll be nice, you know, except I don't know a lot of Spanish songs. Mark can sing with me though.
Well, I've always heard that anybody that carries a guitar on the Camino is usually super popular. So get ready.
Oh.
That's right.
Well,
hopefully we'll have more people joining our recovery group and hearing about the 12 steps because of Bob's music.
Yeah, I totally agree.
All right, so
let's talk for a few moments about just each of your personal stories on how you found the Camino personally, and just kind of give us a little history, like how many times you've walked, what routes you've walked. We'll keep this short because I do want to spend the majority of our time, of course, on your recovery Caminos, but I just wanted to give everybody kind of just some foundation as to how you got involved with the Camino to start with. So Bob, let's start with you on this one. How did you find out about the Camino, and what routes have you walked, how many, that kind of thing?
All right, so I found that out by Mark, and I think Mark walked a couple of years before I did, and so I watched that movie, you know, that movie, the way, and I gave myself 3 days to consider it, and then I bought my tickets, and I ended up in Madrid, not knowing what the heck or where the heck or anything, nothing, and I found my way to Porto, and I did the Portuguese, and then the Espiritual. And then I went to Finstera and Murcia, and I didn't get Murcia. I don't know the pronunciation, but I didn't get it. I didn't get it the first time. I had to go back. It was a very highly spiritually charged place for me. So in sequence, then I did the north and started in Irun, and I lost 20 pounds on that one. That was really a serious pilgrimage. Then I did Italy. I went to the St. Francis of Assisi trail from Florence down to Rome.
Yeah.
I didn't make it to Rome. I got stuck in a monastery I just worshipped. And then last year, Mark and I brought a bunch of people in recovery. What was it, Mark? The last 150 miles from Ponferrada?
Yeah, the last couple hundred from Ponferrada on the main route, on the Francés route.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So let's switch over to you, Mark. And so how did you find out about the Camino? What got you interested in the first place?
The Camino, well, just coming from, you'd mentioned coming from a bit of Franciscan background. I had spent time with them and did some work. I lived in a Catholic worker for a number of years with Franciscans as well. So during that time, pilgrimage was on the hearts of a lot of people, and this idea, we walked part of the California mission, trail, and I said, this is really interesting. Kind of struggling, coping with, learning from history, the good and the bad, and just kind of integrating that into who I am. And I wanted to do that on the Camino, hearing people's stories coming back. And for me, it was a time when I needed some healing. It was a time when my mom was, my mom was not in good health, and she passed. I did one of my Caminos right after that. But I spent a lot of time solo in my pilgrimages, and just relied upon the trail, the way to teach me. And I encountered a lot of wonderful souls, learned a lot of great lessons that I would not have in just workaday life as a teacher or as a school counselor. And during that time, I just kept going back and connected with Bob, and eventually Bob put forth the idea, hey, we're both involved in this recovery world. Let's see if we can make something of it between us, and help others find the way as well. My last trip that I made solo, I volunteered for the Pilgrim House after I finished, and that was totally eye-opening, and learning about how to facilitate retreats for folks, and I really wanted to pass that on. So that was part of my story as well.
Excellent. I'm going to see Faith and Nate tomorrow, so I'll tell them
awesome.
you and I talked tonight.
Please do.
So, so I'm sorry about the loss that prompted you to go on one of your Caminos. And I think a lot of people do walk for that reason, right? And that is something that is often, a hard thing that we deal with in life. And I think the pilgrimage is so helpful in helping us kind of move forward as we're dealing with that. So I wonder, Bob, so you had this idea that you somehow knew that the Camino could help with recovery. So what prompted you to think about that and kind of put the two together?
Well, I'm in Naples, Florida, and I do an Airbnb in one of my rooms here, and I had a Buddhist monk staying with me. Oh. And we became good friends. And one day he's done many through Japan. He's not one of us, in recovery. But we were just talking about Caminos and recovery Camino. And bang, I said, this is an idea. Here's an idea. Do you want part of it? And he says, no, I'm too busy. So I got on the phone with Mark right away and said, Mark, what do you think of this idea? I'm always saying that to Mark. What do you think of this idea?
I love it. So you guys, so far you've done one, and COVID stopped everything for a couple of years, but you're getting ready to take your next group. So I wanted to first check, I think the last time that we spoke that you still had a couple of spots that people could still sign up. Is that still the case?
Sure, certainly. Yeah, we are more than welcoming anyone who would like to take part. And we're just a service organization, so we just facilitate and guide as much as possible, but we are not a tour group. So we're just a group of fellows walking together, of which a few of us have a bit more experience, as pilgrims, so we can do our best to help.
Okay. And when do you take off for your next one? It's in May, is that right?
That's right. Yeah, our next group, from the US, we leave on May 8th, but we arrive into Portugal on May 9th, and we'll be walking from Porto area, from Vila de Conde, and walking all the way north to Santiago over the course of 12 days.
Okay, great. All right, so we're going to dive into the whole 12-step process in a moment, but I wanted to go back and just check on this. So there is an online option as well that teams with the group that's going, but also runs individually as well, or is the group that's currently online is with Camino for Good? Is that right? Is that completely separate from this group that's going in May?
Yeah, they are together. You're right. So those who are walking on the ground are using the Camino for Good, the virtual Camino, as kind of a training and a fellowship time. And those who are walking virtually are going to be walking along with us, continuing to stay with us in spirit during the boots on the ground, so to speak.
Okay, so can people still join the virtual?
Yes, yes. In fact, as part of this this holy year, the challenge that Camino for Good put together a challenge, and their holy year challenge, they have several routes that you can take part in. We're doing the Finnis route,
Okay.
and kind of a shorter one, but they're welcome to join at any time, and they have until mid-July to go about 130 miles or so on that route. So you have plenty of time.
Okay, great. I'll get a link for that. Do you have a separate link for that I could put in the show notes?
Sure. I'll pass it on to you.
All right, we'll do that, everyone, in case you're interested in joining that. Okay, so let's talk about the whole 12-step program. So you walk 12 days, how perfect, and you can integrate one of the steps for each day. So what I'm wondering if maybe each of you would want to pick one of the steps and kind of describe for us maybe 2 steps. So maybe Bob take one, Mark take a different one, and just kind of give us an idea of what that day would look like, how the day starts as you introduce that step, and maybe how that plays out through the day and the evening. So I don't know if you have a favorite step that you would want to share with us, or one that you think folks would really identify with.
Well, I almost said, "Hey, I'm Bob. I'm an alcoholic." That was just like so natural, right?
Right.
And I am, and I'm proud of it. It's been some years, but
Yes.
what I should mention is that when I called Mark, I said, "Mark, maybe we could start training people before we get boots on the ground. Maybe once a week we can get," and we start to formulate what we were doing. And we have a veteran pilgrim. I don't know if you can ask this question later, but we have a veteran pilgrim each week talking about pilgrimage and integrating that with the 12 spiritual principles and how they practice that in their daily life. And that's Eastern Standard Time, 4:00 on Sundays. I can't, it's almost hard to say that I don't have a favorite one. And they are all laid out in perfect order. You can't just start on 5. You can't just start on, you have to go through it. I think what I like, I'm gonna pick 12. I hope I didn't pick the one that you wanted, Mark. Because Mark, you can hear in his testimonies here that he's always been about service. It's always been about service. And and that's what it is. Once somebody's taken us through these spiritual principles, honesty, hope, step 1, honesty, hope, faith, courage, integrity, willingness, humility, brotherly love, and it just and then it goes to 12, which is says, having had a spiritual awakening, we try to bring these concepts to other people who are sick and suffering, and that is what I do, and that's changed people's lives. I see it every day. 10 years sober, and I've been probably going to 2 meetings a day, because it's a spiritual quest, and it is a pilgrimage starting in step 1 and going to step 12. It's a pilgrimage, walking through the steps. So I like step 12 because I've learned so much going to places and being in meetings and helping people who are in recovery. And we're not claiming to be spiritual gurus or anything. We're not claiming to be clinical psychologists, although Mark is closer. We just walk with people in this journey up the coast or wherever we take them next summer.
Got it. Well, first off, let me say congratulations, 10 years sober. That's something to be really, really proud of. So very, very impressive. Very, very good. Yeah. And I love what you're saying, how it all wraps up into that service and that giving back, which is really what, you guys are both doing with this whole program, is a huge giving back, and meeting that principle is just so important. And I wanted to go back and say, you and I were talking earlier today, Bob, about that, this is open to any type of recovery, no matter what that addiction might have been, or if maybe you have been supporting someone through a recovery, then this program could be a really great thing for you, right? So maybe speak to that for a second, if you would, Bob, that it's any type of recovery from what you and I have talked about.
Yeah, it can be as benign as just, what do I do? What educational track should I start on? I'm a 23-year-old. Whatever's on somebody's mind that they cannot come to terms with. Now, I love the logotherapy approach. Get meaning and purpose in your life. That is so integral in my life, what I do. I've got so many things going on. But just the simple fact that there's people out there suffering, and you can put anonymous onto any one of them afterwards, So, you've got Overeaters Anonymous. These are some of the, got Al-Anon. But recovery is endless. Just whatever is keeping somebody from a homeostasis in their life, a real quality of life. And if they need to, and that's why I didn't go to lose anything, or I didn't go to gain anything. I just went. But I realized that I was with multinationals and multi-religious people, practitioners, and I became somebody different on that trail. And one trail from let's say France to Santiago across the north, that's a lifetime to me. And I have it on a map right here each day. And that is a segment of life and a lifetime to me of change.
Yeah, same, Bob. I can really identify with that. I think, there's that adage of the Camino doesn't necessarily give you what you want, it gives you what you need. And sometimes we start off on pilgrimage and we don't even know really what it is that we're needing. We think we know what we want, but I think the beauty of pilgrimage is it gives you that time to figure out a lot of things. And also I find that it doesn't end when you get to Santiago, that there's still more processing, like we're on a lifelong journey, aren't we? So Mark, let's come back to you and the 12 steps. And if you want to take one of the steps, or if you just kind of want to talk in general about how you incorporate that into your actual walk with the group.
Sure. Thanks so much, Lee. So there's a lot of parallels, as Bob alluded to, between pilgrimage and the 12 steps, and that idea of seeking purpose and making meaning from difficulties, from suffering that we've dealt with in our life. Because inevitably, right, life is a mix of joy and sorrow and suffering, and to be on this walk as humans is to be on a pilgrimage. So using the 12 spiritual principles, the 12 steps as a framework, the ones that stick out to me, which kind of bleed through all of the steps, are honesty, openness, and willingness. The honesty step is admitting you have an issue, a problem, an addiction or codependency, or that you have a spouse or significant other who suffers from addiction, which is what Bob mentioned is the Al-Anon program, or in any number of, as Bob mentioned, one of the most common ones that I've seen is the idea of codependency, that we are trying to control others and life when we should be really lifting. The 12 steps help us to manage what's within our control and lift up the rest to our higher power. The 7th step prayer is one of my favorites. It goes like this: My Creator, I'm now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defect of character which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Grant me strength as I go from here to do your will. Amen. And what that gets at really is the idea that, yeah, I am human. I have defects of character. I have fears. I have resentments. And those are the things that the steps work through, the fourth step through the seventh step, helping you identify those and helping you make sense of them, and then lifting them up so you can be of service to others.
Yeah. I think you mentioned when we all talked before that as you were walking with that group last time, that other people at the albergues would actually come and join you and realize that, oh, this information is something I could really use. So could you talk a little bit about that experience of having people kind of jump in, and how willing it sounded to me that you were willing to allow them to do that?
It's not like we're flaunting, first off. We're just having meetings, and we walk with certain people who join us, and they hear, how you get in that conversation with people when you're walking, and they're deep. They can be pretty deep. And with some of the people that are in recovery, they heard some of those conversations with a couple of people that we were walking with or whatever, and they join us, and we would all share, and it's natural to us. It's just organic now. When it gets to them, they end up crying because the content is so powerful. And often or we had 2 seminarians with us, and they just say, we don't talk about stuff like this. It's not in this level. So the thing is when you go to meetings, you hear thousands of solutions to our common human problems. And because I'm human, I'm not going to use the solution that's best. I'm going to do what I want. But what this does is it teaches us, and they hear this when we share, but it teaches us to take the right path a little bit more closely.
That there could be a solution, that kind of giving people hope that there is a solution. It's just a matter of finding the right one for ourselves.
There's a solution or some sort of resolution to everything. And it's like Mark was talking about, honestly open the how of it. Yeah. Honestly open mind is a willingness.
I think I missed what you were saying about the seminarians. So were they saying, did I hear you correctly, that they were saying they didn't get training in this and that this was helpful?
No, it's just a different way of communicating, maybe. So we're all forthright and open and discussing. Mark, do you have anything to add on to that?
Yeah, I mean, speaking from experience, right, and probably all of us have this experience. Traditional religion as an institution is not very good at some of those really in-depth openness to personal, to facing our personal fears, to facing the things that we need to work through in our history and in our psyche. And so in some ways, I try to describe to others that the 12 steps are ingenious in that they were designed to be completely democratic group therapy, and no one is above anyone else. You're not confessing to anyone else that's above you, and everyone is invited to have their own vision of their higher power. Now, in my experience with all the people that I've worked with and known, they come to call that higher power God, and come to recognize the loving presence between all of us. But everyone is slightly different. There's no requirement for, no dogma for a way which you have to meet God. And in that way, I think it's very reflective of the interreligious, interfaith, and ecumenical nature of the Camino, which welcomes all seekers. People, the only requirement is a desire, and it's the same with the 12 steps.
Yeah, that's a really great comparison. I had heard once the story of the gentleman that had started the 12-step program. It was a pretty remarkable story, and yeah, and you're right, that is a real comparison there of actually walking a pilgrimage, and the openness that you don't necessarily have to believe any one thing. You don't even have to be a believer. Come and walk and see what happens, right? And
that's right. Be open.
He was a troubled man too.
Yes.
He was a troubled man, and and suffered from depression. Bill
Yeah.
Bill W.
Bill W. I couldn't remember his name. I don't know why.
Yeah,
Just slipped my
but
mind.
he
Yeah.
wrote so much, and he's changed so many lives. Him with his creator, and
Yeah, what a
and other
legacy.
people.
Yeah, what a legacy, right? I mean, how many years ago was that book written? And think about the number of people that have gone through the program because of him. It's pretty remarkable. I wonder if you could share with us maybe a story. I know we can't really share personal stories of folks that have walked with you, but maybe just some type of anonymous testimony to maybe somebody that's walked or that then has walked to the Camino through a recovery process, and how that helped them. If you've seen evidence that it really helped them to walk a Camino or to go with your group.
Mark? Oh, okay. As far as recovery from addiction or alcohol?
Yeah.
Someone that walked with perhaps in the past year.
Yeah. I'll talk about my friend Herb. And I don't think he's one of us, but he wonders whether he is. And sorry, Herb. But he was one of those people that were just crying each time we shared. And I walked with him through Italy, and we became friends. He's a very slow walker, so I beam in front of him, and then we would talk. But he came on this last one with us, with our fellows, and I can't tell you the changes that he went through. He would have to talk about that, but there was you could see that there was conflict, and I don't think he's going to see this, but you could see that there was conflict, and he was working his way through and walking his way through. But I think what he was hearing in our meetings was bringing, I don't know, something to him. It was working for him. And I can't tell you exactly how, but Mark, can you take that any further or do another one?
Yeah, no, that's a great example. I would also share very quickly the story of individuals who have never, they didn't have a passport before they found us. They didn't have any inclination of what the Camino was, but they said, you know what, pilgrimage, that sounds good. And I like the idea of walking 12 days with the 12 steps and kind of bringing that physicality into this international exploration. And it really brought them outside of their comfort zones. And several of them said, I want to do this again right away. Among them, our friend, I'll call him Alex, who hadn't left the country, loved jumping on skateboards and goofing around, but had never worn a backpack, hiking for multi-days, and he absolutely loved it, and he wants to go back. He wants to bring his wife and bring others. And if you're just I like to tell people, if you're just a little, like, you open up the door a crack, the Camino is going to blow it open for you. You just have to be slightly open, and things will just fall into your lap, into your stride, into your breakfast, into your prayers, into your everything while living on the Camino, and you'll carry that Camino back home with you. And that indeed is the case with him. And I think with many others who joined us, that they still reflect on it today and want to go back soon.
Oh, wow, that is really something. I mean, to take somebody from a point where they've never even traveled, they don't have a passport, they're going through recovery, and then they discover your group, and what a world it has opened up for them. And then they're willing to just sign up for the next one right away. That's amazing.
I asked this one gal to do something like a movie or something, and she said, she's a friend of mine, and she said, no, I can't. I said, you say I can't a lot. Next thing you know, she's never been overseas, and she came along with us, and she found herself in Madrid, and she walked with us, and it's amazing watching people's eyes open.
And you think about how that courage, when they take that step, and for all of us as pilgrims, I think we learn so much about ourselves, and that courage then comes out in different ways in other parts of our lives, doesn't it? And it's like a Kickstarter for lots of change, lots of positive change that can happen. So
Absolutely.
if we can tell folks a little bit about if they want to go in May, when they sign up for the program with you, does the program cover all, like the fee that they would pay for that? Does that cover all of their night's lodging and food, or how does that work?
So there's actually, so by the way, we have a group going in September as well. The May group is doing the central route, and the September group, sort of towards the end of September, is doing the coastal route. They're both going from Portugal, from Porto. So people have some more time perhaps to think about it, to walk virtually, to learn about it. And we're planning to continue having those Sunday Pilgrims prep workshops and speaker meetings. So those are very welcome. And we don't charge anything. The cost that we list on the website is an estimate of their expenses. So they manage those by themselves. And we just say, you know what, it's going to cost you about $500 from our experience. We're living very, very basic pilgrim lives. You can get by a little bit less. You get by a little bit more if you're buying souvenirs and fancy dinners. But we try to live as closely to the donativos and the public albergues, the municipales, as possible. And then people can make their own decisions. A group of us normally picnic, buy groceries, and some others, get a pilgrim meal. But we don't live extravagantly on our Camino. And we try to encourage folks to be able to walk with their backpacks as well. But of course, there's always exceptions, and we help folks that need to have stuff transported as well.
Okay. So do you coordinate the lodging, or do they pick their own lodging each night?
If necessary, we make reservations. We have some help doing that this time, but mostly we just arrive at the place, and if there's no squeeze on accommodations, then we just stay at the municipal albergue or the whatever the least expensive option is.
Okay, so I guess I didn't understand, Mark and Bob, you're donating your time then for this program, and am I understanding that correctly now?
Yes, we are.
Oh, wow.
And we're eventually going to seek nonprofit status. So we have an LLC now, but we decided that we will start the paperwork this summer for the nonprofit.
Okay, all right.
And we'd love sorry, go ahead, Lee.
Oh no, go ahead, Mark.
Anyone that would like to make a donation, that would be lovely. We ask participants to consider that at the end if they would like, and that enables us, of course, to pay for things like website and some travel and other expenses that others may not be able to front. And we're trying to offer scholarships to people that we can. We haven't had a lot of donations yet, so that's what we're working towards.
Okay.
Slow.
Yeah, when you get to that point, that you can begin taking donations, we do a lot for Warriors on the Way, which is a nonprofit. So I would love to get the word out there when you are in a position to start taking those donations, so we can support people who want to go with your group. And
we walked with one of them.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
This last time.
Yeah, I think it's kudos to both of you for volunteering your time and giving back in such a major way. I had no idea that you were doing this on a voluntary basis, so that's really impressive and just so kind. So tell me a little bit about you have this May program that's happening, and we have the September program that's happening. Both of them have a virtual element, and then you've got the weekly meetings. Well, the weekly meetings with speakers, those are part of the virtual groups, right?
That's right. Yeah,
yes.
Part of virtual and physical groups. That's right.
All right. So we'll have a link to that in the show notes. We'll also have a link to your website in case somebody wants to sign up for the May program or the September program. And there's a link there, I think, where they could ask you questions and whatnot, I think. Is that right? If they want to get some more information. Do you have a Facebook group?
We do.
Yes.
Okay. And what's the name of the group for the Facebook group if somebody's trying to find you on there?
Recovery Camino.
Recovery Camino. Okay. All right, I'll have to check that out. I didn't find it, so I'll have to check that
No,
out.
yeah, it's there. It's not super active, but we post, people can send us messages there. And really the best way, if you go to the main website, just click the register button, and there's
Okay.
a Google form, and you can put in your email and information. Then we'll send you all the information then.
Yeah, see, it's an
Alright.
anonymous program, so we can't post pictures of people on the trip.
Yeah, that's true,
So,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
so we'll probably get releases this time and post people's, the
Yeah.
joy they have.
Well, if nothing else, you could have photos of the two of you, and at least.
That's right. We have a lot of those. There are too many.
So I'm in the same situation with my music in dementia communities. I can't show any people's faces, they're all lockdown communities. So I can show pictures from here down,
Yeah.
but so.
Well, hopefully some people feel comfortable giving you releases so that you can have some good photos from the groups, because I think when people see other people benefiting and enjoying, it gives them a little more courage to sign up and go on a trip. So,
Yeah.
So what are
We
you
have a
guys most
WhatsApp.
excited? What are you most
We have a
excited?
WhatsApp also, right, Mark?
Yeah, so when people join our group, there's a WhatsApp where we communicate details and share experiences and inspiration. Yeah.
That's been very active.
Oh, good. So I wonder, we've been on lockdown for a couple of years, right? And so now you're getting ready to travel again. You're getting ready to walk yourselves as you go with this group. What are you most excited about? What are you looking forward to?
Mark?
That's a good question. It may sound quite, well, it may not be the highest of goals, but one of my purposes in life is just to be open and willing to whatever God puts in front of me. So a big part of that for me is getting outside of my own head, getting outside of my own environment, and those things that, those little daily things that you get so possessive and so grasping about. So I find that the Camino really opens that up for me, and being with others and seeing them do the same is just such a beautiful thing, such a gift. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
And everybody that I speak with on the Camino, I become somebody different, a little osmotic, in incorporation of what they're saying. And there's a lot of examples of that, but I think, and I'm looking forward to just the thought process of not having anything to do but look and walk. And I write on my phone. I take dictations of things. I'm not going to write a book, Camino, my experience. But there's, I wrote a poem called Dog in a Box, because we pass by dogs in dog houses all the time.
Yeah.
So, and there's another book I'm working on. It's called Dos Peregrinos. I'll leave that one a mystery for now.
Okay. But you're right. And I think those are really great things to be looking forward to. When I see the pilgrims coming through town, I have this kind of envy, like, oh, I wish I was just arriving. I wish I had, had the 2 weeks or 3 months off and just being, right? Just being on the trail and experiencing, Mark, what you're talking about, that, just that other noise just gone, and just experiencing and being around people and having those connections. And I think, Bob, what you're talking about, that osmosis, that change that we have. And I wonder, for both of you, what do you think's been some of the biggest changes about you personally after walking? How has it changed you? How has it changed your life?
That's well, it's hard to even conceive of, because I can't picture myself pre-Camino, but I think part of it,
there's an answer in itself. Right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I don't know. There's the simple answer is there's the whole consumer self that's part of modern society, and there's the whole Camino self that's part of this ancient connection to all people and loving spirits. So I'd like to think I'm leaning towards that person more and more.
Yeah.
Leaning more towards the spiritual person versus the commercial.
Yeah. And that
Mm.
transcendental person, like when I listen to the choral or Baroque music, I am no longer in 2022. No longer. When I'm walking through these small villages, and I don't listen to it loud, and I can hear the birds, and I don't rely on it. But and the other thing is there's that change that comes, the culture change from seeing and hearing people talk that I was talking about. And I was in Madrid, and I was in a hostel, and this guy in the top bunk said, "Do you mind if I pray?" And I said, "No, not at all." And he laid out his mat facing Mecca, and he prayed right there. And if I was in a small town where I grew up, I'd never see that. And therefore that moved me closer to that culture.
Yes.
And when I come back here, I have to realize that I don't know anything. I think I do, and I want to collect the data so that it can support my side. But in the final analysis of it is that I'm usually wrong or change with time. And so that's the whole thing I think about, is that change, the psychic change we talk about that happens in recovery.
Yeah, the psychic change, and that, meeting people from all different countries. And I think kind of what you're saying too is that, seeing that we're all the same, the base, and that we get to know people on a whole new level when we're walking, and we realize the things that we didn't know, which makes us, I think, smarter people in the end. And I just wanted to go back and say, Mike, I love your quote. If I got it right, was, "I can hardly remember my pre-Camino self."
Yeah,
I,
good one.
I think that's the way a lot of we pilgrims can describe ourselves, that there is so much change that occurs, but it's probably not even a fair question for me to ask you, because the Camino just brings about so many positive changes in our lives that we really do become, I think, new people after each walk, right? Like during the walk, we become different. And then as we finish that walk. So what a brilliant observation. I see you have one of my favorite books there. Chicago book. Were you going to share something from it?
This one, no, I just happened to have it on my desk, and I thought, oh, that's nice to have out for a Camino interview. And then I had my 12-step prayer book as well on the side. The two of these together form a pretty good, pretty strong base. So yeah, there's a lot of good books out there.
Well, that's a pretty heady guidebook, right? It's got a lot of great stuff in it, so definitely.
It's more of a history book, yeah. And if you're looking for, I'm sure your listeners know all about this, but if you're looking for a more contemplative book, consider The Art of Pilgrimage, or something like that. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, so let's just talk a little bit, when people are planning on going on pilgrimage, a lot of times they kind of get wrapped up in, I would call it the logistics, the equipment side of things. So I know our viewers always want to hear these kinds of things. And since you guys are talking to folks that are getting ready to go, when you are giving advice, what would be 3 things each of you would say? Make sure you have this in your backpack. Don't come to Spain without. Mark, you want to go first? 3 things.
Oh, there's actually, in all honesty, there's nothing you can't do without, unless of course you have medications or contacts or glasses. You could even find those there if you had to, but really don't worry. Do your best, and then you'll end up ditching stuff, and you'll end up buying new stuff if you forgot something or need something extra. But the main thing, and you'll hear this time and time again, the main thing is to practice walking in your tennis shoes, your sandals, your boots, whatever. Just practice walking in them, preferably with a backpack with a little bit of weight or water in it. But your shoes are important. So give those a try. The shoes, I would say, wear some shoes.
Agree with you on all of that. I think, and practicing with that weight in the backpack is so critical. But yes, totally agree. And Bob, what about you? Any 3 things, anything that you would say, please get this in your backpack?
Hydration. And I would bring a little glucose squirts just in case. There was a gal who did have a hypoglycemic event.
Yeah.
And we just sat in a briar patch. It was like, we got to sit down. And we sat her down, and and we gave her some glucose, but she was struggling.
Mm.
So, as a nurse, I think hydration and first aid.
Yeah, and staying ahead of that hydration, right? Like it's so easy to ignore getting your water, even when and you take a drink right now, even when it's not that hot out, it's still important to keep ahead of it. So do you guys use a Camelback, or do you take bottles of water? What's your preference and how you carry the water when you're walking?
Mark?
I usually do have the in-pack water. I don't think it's Camelback brand, but yeah, it has a little hose that goes into your backpack, and it's got a little bag of water, and get a good quality one if you're going to do that, just so it doesn't leak. And practice using it before you go. You might hate it, or you might have to get a different one because you find out it leaks. So otherwise, you can just carry bottles of water, stick them in the side of your pack or whatever. There are places normally, unless you're on a rustic route, there are places to refill your water. So for convenience sake and to encourage your hydration, having that handy straw always there is wonderful.
Yeah, I've done it both ways. I can't decide which one I prefer. There's like pluses and minuses on both, but I think the key, Nurse Bob, is hydration, 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 no matter what method you're using. Okay, do you guys carry poles?
I did for my first my first two, and I really should have, because it's a stabilizer.
Yep.
It helps with the knees on the way down, and I'm a runner. Yeah, I got it for Italy, and thank God, because that was a really beautiful walk through the mountains in Italy.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love my poles. What about you, Mark? Do you walk with poles?
Yeah, I do. I'm a one pole walker normally, but it's I mean, it is nice to have, and you can experiment with them when you get there. Borrow a friend's. You can buy them on the way if you need to, and of course, the thing that most people probably realize pretty quickly is that in Spain in the summer, especially, there is sun. You need a nice wide brim hat is always good to have, and it depends. Some of the stuff depends on the season that you're walking in.
Yes.
It may rain more or less. We walk purposefully kind of beginning of May and end of September into the fall because of the what we were talking about, that just that feeling of not being crowded, but being in a more spiritual space. And so we kind of purposefully avoid some of that summer heat, but there's still sunshine, there's still sun and there's still rain. So
exactly. And what about foot care? So you're both runners. Blisters, have you experienced any really rough days with blisters when you've been walking?
Once, not bad, but just a quick identification that when the toe tells me something's going on, stop.
Yes.
Right there. Stop right there. Stop and treat.
And you've heard it officially from a medical professional. I couldn't agree more, right? And that's one of the things I try to tell folks is, I think the meditation and the mindfulness, the yoga, when the body starts telling you something, listen, because if you ignore it, it's not necessarily going to go away, and you might end up, where you could spend $10 on getting stuff at the pharmacia to maybe address whatever the issue is. It's going to save you a lot of time, pain, and more money if you have to go to urgent care and get something taken care of because we ignored it. So, yes,
absolutely. There's both Bob and I use double layers. So I buy the double layer right socks. And they've always worked for me. They have wicking, they have merino wool ones, whatever you prefer. And I also carry a blister Band-Aid. So if you are walking, it's the middle of the day, you just quickly toss on one of those if you have a hot spot, and that seems to help. Bob, do you have other medical solutions?
No, just walk beforehand. Walk before you go, so you break in your equipment and you know what you're going to need. And I actually, the first time I went, I actually put my pack on. I walked in the rain with all my gear, a hard Florida rain. And then I brought my pack in, I walked on a treadmill because it's flat here, and I put it on 15 and filled it. And then I went to the elliptical. That's a little bit kind of crazy, but what that did was it gave me the balance that I needed walking with a pack, so that if I was teetering anywhere, I'd have a little bit more balance. And I put, I put a couple, 15 minutes, like 4 days a week after my walk on the elliptical. But I really overtrained for that. I was out running the 30-year-olds. It was crazy. And now I realize that was my first one. Now I realize, just train, just train. Don't go overboard on any of it.
Yeah, but that's really creative. I don't think anyone's ever told me before that they went to that much trouble, because when I was first training, I was living in Salt Lake City, so I had a lot of elevation, and I was training in the mountains, so that was very helpful. But I talked to a lot of people that do live in flatter areas like you do in Florida, and it's hard to get that training to walk some of the more hilly routes or some of the mountainous routes that we're walking. So it was very creative to do the incline, and then to add the elliptical. I love that, because that balance does make a difference when you're walking, doesn't it?
It does.
And, yeah, so great tips on that. And I definitely think walking with the weight in the backpack is so helpful. Do you follow the rule of like trying to do like 10% of your body weight, or has your backpack been heavier than that on some of the Caminos?
Yeah, I've been less of a minimalist than Mark, and our good friend Lisa. We met on, I believe it was APOC. She's joining us, and she is what are they called? She works in all these hospitalera.
Hospitalera.
Hospitalera. Yeah, whatever. And yeah, it's I've lost my train of thought.
We were talking about the weight of backpacks. Does Lisa take a big
Oh
backpack?
yeah, so I'm less of a minimalist.
Photography stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh, beautiful. She just posted one on our WhatsApp, and it's just exceptional beauty, what she captured. And that's the beauty of this Camino also, is like you've got time to look at everything like a snapshot. But yeah, back to that. I'm less of a minimalist, but when people need something, I have it.
Okay. Well, that benefits you, Mark. If Bob's
I am much more of a minimalist. I say the least. And if somebody's transporting their pack, I toss my sleeping bag or my extra shoes in there, because the less the better. I have no shame, and I just get by on the least that I can. And if that means I have to buy a coat someday or borrow someone's extra something, then I will. But I'm pretty minimalist.
Yeah, I'm working towards that, because I've learned from experience, you are never, the lighter your backpack is, the happier you're going to be at the end of the day, is my theory. So, really question what you're taking, folks. If you're getting ready to walk, try to get that backpack light, because, while maybe you can wear it around town when you're training for an hour, it's a whole nother story when you're wearing it for 6 or 7 hours and you're walking day after day. It really, it pays off to be a minimalist. So if you can,
I mean, I don't have
a friend.
Yeah, I don't bring 40 pounds, but I don't stay to the 10%. I can't remember. Mine was like 17 pounds last time.
He kept dropping stuff though. He kept dropping stuff all the way.
First one. Okay. I was throwing expensive stuff out.
That was going to be my question. What's the item that you have thrown away? Wait
a minute. Okay, so these really, really nice leggings, and I was bummed that I did that. But on the next one, and a vest. But on the next one, it was cold, so I had to get another vest. But there was one in the albergue that I went to. And I wrote a poem about this one because I put it on the next morning. It was beautiful, beautiful, old one, really old. Put it on and I looked at it, it's got toothpaste on it. It's got, they wore this thing and when they left it. And I realized that I'm just getting infused with all of their stuff, But I brought it back and it's an excellent vest. But you can get what
Camino
you need.
provides.
Yeah, you can get what you
Right.
need at the next
That's right.
albergue often. Right?
Exactly. You know what Mark was saying earlier, that, you know, you can buy just about anything you're going to need. The timing may not be perfect, you know, because sometimes we do show up into the towns and the stores have already closed or whatever, but you will get it within a couple of days. And usually you find that another pilgrim will have an extra something that you might need. So yeah, really, people, don't sweat it. Everything will work out. And, you know, there's always a lesson in letting go of some of the things that we think we might need to take. So, well, you know, we're at our times. We probably should wrap up, but I am so grateful to meet you both and just so impressed by what you're offering. And I know by the response of many comments that I received in the group that there is definitely interest in what you're offering, and there is a definite need for folks to have this opportunity that are healing and going through recovery. And I'm just so glad that you are in a position to be able to offer something like this. So thank you for doing this for the Camino community. It's something that's needed. So thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
it
you.
Chief, as well.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming and talking and sharing from your heart. And I really love knowing you. And I hope that I get to meet you guys when you show up in Santiago and hear more of your great stories. So please let me know when you're about to arrive and we'll figure out a time to meet up.
Will do. Thank you, Lee.
Well, you're
Namaste.
welcome.
Peace be with you. Buen Camino.
Buen Camino. I'm going to stop the recording. Stay on for just a second. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll catch you next time with our next interview. Buen Camino.